Вондер сидел за компьютером и залипал в шорты. Как вдруг он вспомнил, что ему нужно включать стрим. О, господи. Почему у меня не работает хуйня? А-бля-бля-бля-бля. Скорее всего, у меня что-то вылетело. Да. Па-па-па-па. Здорово. Кто этот сукин сын? Как меня бесят люди с никами, которые начинаются на Эври. Уёбы. Блять, я, сука, злой. Какого хуя, чувак? Я забыл забу написать. Почему ченч на основе? Потому что это был потенциально очень популярный стрим. Что, в принципе, и случилось. Пришло много людей. Было приятно. Ой, бля, пацаны, послушайте музычку, я через 2 минутки подойду. Так, алло, я вернулся. Что-то у меня настроение сбилось чутка. Так, сегодня у нас парабола Stanley. Парабола Stanley, Deluxe я все-таки себе купил. Попробуем сегодня поиграть на английском, а в следующий раз попробуем поиграть на русском. И посмотрим, что из этого получится. С вашего позволения, голубки в модерском, я посижу один. Все-таки игра про больше про наратора, так сказать, да? Нежели чем про что-либо другое. Так что я думаю, что тут лучше сидеть в одиночестве периодически, почитывая чат, чем слушать приколы Шифера. Когда ДНД? Ну, я надеюсь, что в это воскресенье будет. I hope, как говорится. Ах ты гад. Вот лучше бы мы Шифер пошли, блядь, в КФ поиграли на новом очваренном сервере. Чё, как у вас дела? Как настрой? Спасибо, Гена, за донат 125 рублей.
Привет. Как дела? Как самочувствие?
Да, что-то так себе, на самом деле, самочувствие и настроение. Но, надеюсь, парабола Стэнли меня порадует чутка. Здравствуйте, здравствуйте, Варвара. Виновник сегодняшнего торжества. Бля, я не знаю. Ну, то есть я играл в Параболу Стэнли, но я играл давно. Я думаю, может, типа, ну, заново весь экспириенс прочувствовать. От этого же зависит, какой контент будет. Нет, бери. Хорошо. Вы запустили за Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Начать игру. Ребятки, мы будем... Блять, я субтитры врубил. Я уверен, что в этой игре автоматом субтитры пишутся. Короче, да, сегодня мы играем на английском. Поэтому подготовьте свои глазки, потому что вслух я читать не буду, то, что будет говорить наш любимый наратор. Нужно прочувствовать. Мне все-таки голосок наратора очень нравится на английском.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was
Классика.
employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped
Ебать чувствительность.
out of his office.
Возможно,
All his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Бля, может стоило нажать все-таки да? Я боюсь, что мы можем не дойти до нового контента. Я очень хочу новый контент посмотреть. Ну, на самом деле, я очень мало... Опа, там дверь. Алло, блядь, откройте. Там двери открытые, мне интересно. Чувак, блядь.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Ладно, давайте для начала пройдем вот чисто вот обычную, самую обыкновенную нахер концовку, самую обычную.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Погоди, а разве мы не вправо раньше входили?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Тебе достаточно пройти одну-две концовки, а их много, и каждая по проходимости разная. Ну, сначала мы пройдем классическую, самую обычную, вот эту вот common концовка. I've got a feeling somebody's watching me. Серьезно, мы отключили прыжки. 2 достижения сразу. Я нажал нет. Давайте кабинет
Stepping into his
начальника.
manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been
Terrible
keeping from
truth.
him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Шифер, если будут спойлеры в чате, можешь...
By simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
Если будут спойлеры в чате,
He stepped into
по
the
башке
newly
бей.
opened
Давайте без
passageway.
спойлеров, ребят. Ух, ебать. Мне нравится звук.
Descending deeper into the building.
Секунду. Я там эти зоны понаписывал. Погодите, у меня бизнес вопросы. Вондер писал что-то на клавиатуре. чат не понимал, что он пишет, ведь они не видели этого. И Вондеру это было по душе, потому что это, блядь, его дела. I got a feeling somebody watching me. О. Так, все. Нет, не все. Я наебал. Ага.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest.
Ребята, сейчас будет финалочка, вы готовы?
To question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Я на самом деле обожаю параболу Стэнли.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ебать, как она байтит. Я обожаю. Я вот сам люблю играть на простых человеческих эмоциях. Я люблю из чего-то обычного делать что-то необычное. Переворачивать, так сказать, простые идеи. Мне эта мысль очень близка.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant...
Я играл в параболу, но я помню буквально парочку концовок. И типа как, куда идти, я в основном не знаю.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Вот суки. Когда вангеры. Тебе вроде зашло. Не, бро.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible?
Моя жизнь в руках красивого голоса с английским акцентом. It doesn't even matter how hard you try.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Я помню, как я бегал и пытался, то есть... Блять, как это? Ну, я, типа, выбирал включить, и он говорил, что, ах ты, сука, ты хочешь под себя все подмять, я тебя ёбну сейчас, блядь, сука. Я помню, я бегал по той комнате и всякие штуки делал. Я уже не помню. Ну все, мы прошли игру. Пойдем в леталку.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
Это были самые легкие 3000 рублей.
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to
Businessman.
understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Да сука, я не могу. Пустите.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
And Stanley was happy. Пройдите игру, пройдите за Stanley Parable, все. А снится нам не кнопка у монитора. Game Just. Нет, виртуально синева. А снится нам трава, трава у дома. Зеленая, зеленая трава. Алло! Я знаю, что есть концовка, что если просто остаться в своей комнате.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-worker. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Давайте
Nor
будем...
did it advance the story in any way.
Теперь мы будем пробовать... Моя любимая. Отключим все мониторы. Какие-то инпуты нужны. Я выключу все мониторы в этой игре.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Включенный монитор. Пустите! Бля, я...
Yet there was not a single person
Ладно, я
here
понял.
either. Feeling a wave of
Да.
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming
Да,
to a
иди в
staircase,
жопу.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Я не хочу вниз идти, внизу сама вот эта скучная, блядь, концовка, когда ты 500 лет спускаешься по лестнице, чтобы потом он просто сдох. Не знаю, меня эта концовка почему-то бесит. Почему-то она меня бесит. To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have picked just one. По-моему, тут было другое что-то написано в прошлый раз. Эта дверь была закрыта. Нет, что вы делаете? Бизнес-стратегия. Как нахуй бизнес-стратегия? А вы тоже как дебилы нажимаете обе кнопки, когда вызываете лифт? Поехали наверх. Нормально. Внезапная пауза. Чат, молчи. Блядь, шифер, готовь автомат, блядь. Знаете, мне внезапно стало очень жутко. Это очень странное ощущение, что ты долго на лифте едешь и приезжаешь и тот же этаж. Это Deluxe. Почему? Я слышу, как будто кто-то поет на фоне этой музыки. Пом-пом-пом. О, он все громче становится. Я уверен, что тут спрятана какая-то тайна. Я не хочу просто выходить из лифта. Если я просижу достаточно долго в этом углу, что-то произойдет. Почему этот листок светится? Я обоссал один из углов этого лифта. Угадаешь, какой? Чё? Чё он сказал? Ладно, хуй с тобой. Уёбок. Сука. Ну мне так интересно. Но я слишком тупой. Это опять, блядь, надо ждать 20 часов, чтобы что-то выбыло. Чтобы что-то случилось. Хуй с тобой. Петух.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the passageway.
Я чувствую себя прекрасно сейчас. Как вам, ребята, понравилось? Мне интересно, что будет в этом эскейпе.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ура! Пора умирать! Эй, бля! Ой, бать, Портал 2. А, это не все?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer
А,
to
блядь!
his demise, it reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
Так.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know.
Так, тут по-любому есть прыжок. Сука. Прыжок. Вы чё, суки? Зачем вы пишете, что у вас есть прыжок, когда у вас нету прыжка? Так, может тут просто пробел не работает. Сейчас мы сделаем. Пусть прыжок будет... Ну, хуй знает. F. Сука. Я тебя достану. Туда же можно прыгнуть. А хуй с тобой, хуй тебе, я присяду.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Angela!
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Если R34 по параболе Стэнли? Угу. Еще 3 монитора мы отключили. Мне кажется, они отключаются сквозь прохождение.
Nothing there. Shoot. Well, try the other one then. Stanley walked over the bridge. Stanley stood on the roof. Stanley pushed the orange lever. Stanley stood on the snow. And finally, he pushed the number 9. Then he pushed the number 8.
9-8. Number 9, then...
Stanley came to the lift. He traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Let's see. Stanley walked through the green door. Stanley pushed the orange lever. Still nothing. I don't know. Well, in that case, I'll tell you what. You win. Congratulations. You did it. I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
Окей.
What do we do now?
А вдруг тут подсказка?
I don't... Stanley, where are you right now? Where am I? I'm trying to figure out, but I can't... Stanley, who am I? Can you speak to me? Please talk. Have we done this before? Have we been in this room before? See, how many times have we done this? How many times have I said these exact words? Say something. Anything. Help me, Stanley. I don't know who I... What I...
It's the kind of thing you pick up on intuitively if you have even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game
Then he
design.
pushed the number 4.
But of course, you,
4.
being you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you. Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room? perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. I'm just going to make this easy. When Stanley came to the lift, he traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Shoot. Then he pushed the number 4.
9844. Чат, напишите, ёпта. Только не говорите, не надо говорить мне, это бесполезно. Окей? Это тоже спойлеры, за это тоже муть, шифер. Еще 6. Еще 6 напишите. Хотя там 4-значный код.
Where were all of his co-workers? Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing? Does that sound plausible to you? Pushed the orange lever. Stanley pushed the red button.
Почему эта концовка доступна настолько рано? Мне кажется, эта концовка должна открываться потом. Мне, кстати, вот это больше нравится. Редон ТВ. What the fuck? Вот что за концовка в квартире? Я не знаю, зачем мне знать всю эту информацию, если я не видел эти концовки? Эта концовка открывается слишком рано по мне. Это pure game design. What the fuck, man? Man, what the fuck, man? Сергей Медведко. From Сергей Медведко. The fuck? А, я тут был. По-моему, я уже все посетил. Выключил ли я все компьютеры? Не знаю.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
Бэтмен и Джокер!
Perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time...
Я все правильно сделал? Мне сказали! Ты что, вышел? А хули? Ребята, перестаньте, не надо говорить, блядь, я такую хуйню делаю. Да ебись. Я думаю, эта концовка не засчиталась, учитывая, что я... Блядь, там же мониторы надо было отключить.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Понятно. Увидимся через 3 концовки, как говорится.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors.
Пошел в пизду.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Let me in, я так хочу туда, мне интересно. Ашишел. Дружик, ты не понимаешь, что ты несешь.
Truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here.
Да хуйня, ни одного... Ну, такой сейчас.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Нет!
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
$5000, если я спрыгну.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Я просто ищу мониторы, которые надо выключить. Все, что я хочу, это выключить все мониторы в этой игре.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
А я хочу вот эту. Я доверюсь тебе, голос.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time?
And Stanley was
The problem is all
happy.
these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now.
Ты сука.
Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley?
Ты меня обманул.
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for?
Конечно же, потратить на анимацию гораздо хуже. На рулетку Вондернопа.
Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Бля, вот бы в Стэнли, пора было в Стэнли в VR поиграть, слушай. Ты копишь на бензопилу? На реальную бензопилу? Ладно, насмотрелись.
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
Ну так продолжай, сука. Ладно, еще немного постоим тут. Я уж подумал, лестница исчезла. Я не пойму, что чат пишет, если честно. Бррр. Нахуя тебе бензопила, NTV?
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here. No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. Are you... You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Yeah.
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you? Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Бля, уже не получается вот троллировать. Грустно. Я думаю, вы говорите, типа, бля, ты вернулся.
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room? There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Почему у него фразы, блядь, прерываются?
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Окей. Еще разок, бля.
No, what do you do? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for...
Я всегда был злодеем.
Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about. I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you? No, perhaps not.
Это хорошо было.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
Бля, наратор нейросеть, это был бы жуть.
I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
Боже, почему фразы прерываются? Я сейчас, блядь, ракетник твой триггер трону, нахуй. За спойлеры, ломание ног.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Кричать.
Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Ладно.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
А где инпуты, погоди? Инпут же тут был всегда.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-worker.
Эмили, ты... Понял, не всегда на разных компьютерах на самом-то деле.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he
Я
wasn't
хочу пойти в
5
синюю
years
дверь.
ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Кажется, такие шкафы какие-то бесполезные.
Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see?
Тут есть
There's
компьютер?
nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted?
Мне всегда так нравились вот
Worth
эти
ruining
текстурки.
the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what.
Да можно огромный айсберг вот здесь вот?
A new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Пусть будет четверочка.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
Давай.
Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, he crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you
Только не это.
about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Твою мать. Ну чё, ребята, теперь отыгрываем настоящие 4 часа геймплея. Фу!
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Банька-парилка.
Aha! Fascinating. This game is about Stanley. What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a
Я
traitor,
понял.
spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
What the fuck? Ну, такое я вообще не ожидал. Ну, это на карту Firewatch не очень похоже. Где вторая башня? А, это вон там она? Она же не была настолько далеко. Как же он медленно ходит, я не могу. Могу поспать. Трак-коляска. Вы бы хотели на такой работе побывать? В полной, блядь, глуши на несколько месяцев.
No, it can't be.
То есть тропа. Нет, не хотел бы, Шифер? А чё? Неплохо. Взял бы...
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Ах ты, сука, я в туалет хотел.
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that
А
thing.
кто тебя ёбнет?
That big open, just
Енот?
wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any. Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Стены?
Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around.
Почему он идет по играм, которые я знаю? Rocket League. Блять, вот бы сейчас с Никитой бы сыгрануть.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ну, не знаю, по-моему, ну, типа, это не так плохо в лесу. Я не знаю, что ты так сыкуешь. Кто тебе... Туда бомжи не зайдут никакие. Там, блядь, не ходит никто. Я все еще не могу прыгать. Меня это бесит. Я не пойму, как ты боишься, что тебя кто-то... Бабах. О, блядь!
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Тишина. Тишина. Тут есть компы, которые можно отключить? Ах, блядь, эти шаги из халфы. Такое чувство, что раньше их не было. Ладно. Идти. Блять. Да, ну теперь это совсем на халфу похоже. Ну то есть вообще конкретно. Если до этого было только так слегка понятно, что это сурс. Теперь, конечно, вообще пиздец. Что это за жуть? Закрыто. Что-то жутко. Если бы я играл один, мне бы сейчас было стрёмно. Прям реально стрёмно. Возвращаемся назад. Компы, которые нужно выключить.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait. But Stanley simply couldn't handle.
А, блядь, я не могу назад дверь открыть. Блядь. Просто сидите в одном дискорде и пусть Варвара говорит, где спойлер, а где нет тебе. Так, мне интересно, что будет, если остаться на Rocket League.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
А давайте еще пока другим
And so
займемся.
he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite
Давайте
door,
вот сюда поедем.
back on track.
Там точно есть компьютеры, которые надо отключить. Там ничего не будет.
But Stanley
Ты
didn't
дурак?
want to leave the office.
Расскажи
He
мне.
wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go from here it's left.
Можешь шифер ёбнуть чувака, который спойлеры пишет? Хватит не ВК. Так. Ребята, если вы говорите, что... Поймите, что если вы говорите, тут ничего не будет, или ты делаешь какую-то хуйню, это тоже спойлер. Ведь по сути вы прямо как этот ёбаный наратор пытаетесь меня направить, пытаетесь подчинить меня своей воле. Я не позволю вам. Не позволю. Все, просто нельзя, блядь, пройти. Сейчас мне будут еще пока писать, мне кажется.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see, we went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick,
Спойлеры! Закройте глаза, ребята.
Okay. We just have to get back to who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ненавижу включенные компы. Все выключу. Да, и где же следующий input? Ёптель-моптель, их еще искать надо. Ё-моё.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Or did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Нет.
Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Блять, давай найдем компы в... Я не могу туда пройти. Давайте сюда. Тут есть какое-то разнообразие. И может быть даже компы. Пойти туда. Могу пойти сюда. Компы. Сейчас назад вернусь, не?
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game?
Не-не, погоди, комп.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Я не нашел комп.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Gone. What could it mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mr. Memo. Beep beep.
Okay, yep, it's worth. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Yeah!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
You put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Ладно.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Если я не пойду по линии. Если я не пойду по линии.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
А если тут все еще есть дверь? Ну ладно, вдруг там компы есть не выключенные. О! Ну, наконец-то. Алло! Ты сука. Ты почему не выключаешься? И зачем я все это делал? Я просто хочу выключить все компы.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
To destiny.
Here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Lighting the mood. Fuck. Что за музыка? Неплохо. Чё?
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, no, no. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Попарника больше всего хромосом. Компы? Вы тут? Ну, мы опять пришли сюда.
Not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you.
Уже 8 часов,
Everything we've
офигеть.
been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
А? Я сейчас подойду. Итак. Почему я всегда поворачиваю этот угол каждый раз?
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Какой-то странный офис. 437.
Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination.
Вселенная Стивена.
Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. And we should be fine.
Ее тем. Внимание. Кто будет на ДНД? Я и наратор.
Ah, a choice. We
Или
get
куратор.
to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in
Зачем мне
some
стена
way,
проспойлерила,
this is
что
kind of
дальше
story,
будет?
Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. Though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Ебать, я обосрался. Мегарган, когда ты перестанешь задавать глупые вопросы?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
В этот раз я не пойду в тот угол.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Новый контент!
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Наконец-то мы добрались до нового контента.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Нормально.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Give me the content. Wonder.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Я могу прыгать. Мне кажется, или Костя Каруселькин хочет пули в коленях. Блядь, зачем спойлерить? Шифер, ты очень долгий, Шифер, ты очень долгий, ты не представляешь, насколько ты долгий, боже мой. Зачем ты, блядь, ты удалил сообщение спустя, блядь, несколько минут после того, как я его заметил. Плохо работаешь. Работай давай, Шифер, какая депрессия, нахуй, хуесия.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes.
Ну я могу забрать у Шифера модерку и отдать Варваре. Его женщина его унизит. Спасибо, что наслаждались новым контентом.
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements. And
да, их всего 11.
One of them actually says, test achievement, please ignore. What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and I'm personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Шифер, если будешь плохо работать, то если я увижу еще один спойлер, то модерка перейдет в Варваре. Все. Вот так вот. Опа. Компы есть?
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Давай, братан, я с тобой. Канти, ты глупенький. То есть ты не осведомленыш. Не осведомленыш, понял? Я тут олд. Да ты, бля, куколд! Как ты можешь, блядь, не знать, кто такая Варвара? Какой ты олд, если, блядь, уже больше... С мая уже сколько времени прошло, а ты не знаешь, кто такая Варвара, нахуй. Ты же уже все... Ты какой-то, блин, не следишь вообще за ситуацией актуальной. Ты еще скажи, бля, какой клевый последний ролик был, история безумия Madness Combat.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to
Да,
be?
помню.
It got me thinking about
Достижение
the
всего
past
11.
and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special
What the
and
fuck?
tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Тут есть компы?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley,
Ah,
the Memory Zone
2013.
reminds me how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release. Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Stanley Parable Collector's Edition. Там реально такой был Collector's Edition? Independent Games Festival. The Last of Us. Воспоминания, сладкие воспоминания. В Стиме 2013. 2013, как говорится. Сейчас 2021. Было бы очень круто, если весь это пришел, короче, 8 минут назад. Что это? О, Firefox. Buy on Steam. Good times. Let's begin again. Диски. 3 volt memory lane. Первый $1. А на чем был? It is impossible to get this. Don't play for 5. Да, там же есть достижение, типа не играть в параболу Stanley 5 лет. Los-Angeles Times, Stanley Parable, Deals of Choices. О, вот это концовка с трупом. Эх, Сурс все еще Сурс. Такой родной. Нет! Маленький Стэнли.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. Skyrim, it was
Persona
Persona
3.
3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Надо там час ездить на том лифте? А он, это новый вообще контент или не новый? You don't. 10 out of 10. Ты ж портал первый. Для двери.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice
99 игр в
and
одном.
one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Так, окей, дальше куда? Все очень здорово. А компы есть, которые надо выключить? Серьезная комната.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
Steam
I
reviews.
can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Ой-ой-ой. Ой-ой-ой. Not recommended. О нет.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more
Бля, это у меня так с роликами у меня так же.
funny.
Funny.
It's funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Funny. Reviews. А эти, все положительные размыты, только вот, блять, отрицательные.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant drone... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time. That if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me.
When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo
Регрет —
the
это не
past.
тоска.
And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affair. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves, they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review. The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,